This week, New Zealand changed forever. Some people will call that an overstatement. Some people say I'm exaggerating. Some people might think I'm scaremongering. Is that right? Well, last time I checked, no other political party in recent history, or ever in this country, has declared political independence for an entire ethnic group. Have they? No other political party has declared that they don't recognise the parliament they work for as being sovereign. No other political party has actively sought to disrespect the parliamentary institution that we have in this country in every way they can possibly see fit. Whilst the government is delivering their budget speech, Pāti Māori's out there saying, we don't recognise the Crown, we're going to create our own parliament. The number of developments this week that, quite frankly, the media isn't even taking seriously. Newshub called it, quote-unquote, a stunt. Cheers, Jenna Lynch. Why are they not taking it seriously? Do they seriously think Te Pāti Māori's bluffing? Do they think the policy Te Pāti Māori have had for the last half-decade is bluffing? No, Te Pāti Māori understand they can't implement what they want to implement. And as such, they're just going to go about and do it their own way. They don't care about the process. They don't care about a legal process. I noticed Newshub a couple nights ago, they were like, Te Pāti Māori have already established that they want to create their own parliament. They're beginning that process. As if somehow that's not a bad thing. As if this is like, oh yeah, let them go about it, whatever. That's what they're going to do. But of course, they're just going to go away, spend a few months discussing how they're going to do it, and then bring something before the government. As if they're going to bring a proposal to the government that the government can implement in a constitutional manner. As if that's what's going to happen. No. What's actually going to happen is the Pāti Māori and all of the people that support them are going to go away. They're going to come up with what they want to do. They're going to come to the government. They're going to say, hey, look, government, this is what we are doing. You don't have a say in this. We don't need you to do anything. We are doing it. And if you don't aid us in this, we're doing it anyway. So you can either do it the easy way or the hard way. The Pāti Māori are going to go ahead and establish their Māori parliament with or without the approval of government, with or without the approval of parliament, with or without the approval of the sovereign, because they don't care. They have no interest in what the sovereign thinks. They have no interest in what the Crown thinks. They have no interest in what anyone but themselves think. They will do what they want to do. No one gets to dictate to them how they shape this parliament of theirs. New Zealand has officially changed forever with these sentiments coming out of Te Pāti Māori this week. The reality is, this all started somewhere. And this time last week, when I was posting the video about Te Pāti Māori stoking a revolution, the daughter of Te Pāti Māori President, John Tamihere, and the wife of Te Pāti Māori co-leader, Rawiri Waititi, was saying some very interesting things on social media, to say the least. In fact, there's a very long video of her explaining just exactly what she thinks of the Crown, just exactly what she thinks of how Māori should view the Crown and how they should go about their lives. And this is really what kicked off the week of revolution. So when I put in the title of that segment from last week, Stoking Revolution, I was not joking. Within 3 days of that being released, Te Pāti Māori officially declared revolution, explicitly so. But of course, the media don't take it seriously. Very few people have any idea just what Te Pāti Māori doing, not even their own supporters. And those that do, they actually joke about it thinking it's going to be a positive. Anyone that's short-sighted is part of the reason we're in this mess in the first place. So, we're now going to take a look at what Kiri Tamihere Waititi has been saying over the past week.
Wake the fuck up and realise that continuing to fuck around in a system that was designed to fuck us up is going to keep fucking us up. Over 180 fucking years, we've subscribed to a system that treats us like fucking second-class citizens in our own country. It's never changed. We think it's got better and it hasn't.
Where's the thing, right? She starts off already just coming out swinging, suggesting that the entire system we have before us here today in New Zealand is designed to oppress Māori. That's its purpose. It's there to oppress Māori, keep Māori dumbed down, keep Māori unable to succeed. Meanwhile, I don't know many people that have done this personally. Meanwhile, she's been to France recently. In the last year, 18 months, she's been to France, along with her husband, Rawiri Waititi. It's an awfully weird way to oppress an ethnic group, isn't it? She's been to France. She's seen the house that her father owns. That thing's worth millions. She is the epitome of an elite Māori who, quite frankly, is completely out of touch with the average person, has very little in common with the average Māori that's living paycheck to paycheck. She has very little in common with the average Pākehā. She's completely out of touch. I mean, she's an educated person. She's a clinical psychologist. That's an awfully strange way to oppress someone. You're so oppressed I gave you a bloody education. You're so oppressed you live in a much nicer house than the majority of the population. She's sitting here lying to the very people that elected her husband, that give the party she represents relevancy, so that she can control them, so that she can get what she wants. She can get what her father wants. She can get what her husband wants. She can get what those at the top of the Pāti Māori want, which is control over the Māori people. Their policy speaks for themselves. That Māori would be required to go into the Māori role, and that Māori role would, of course, then be implemented into the Māori parliamentary system. Now, the Māori parliamentary system is something that's a little bit up in the air as to how exactly that would take shape. It seems that it would likely be reliant on iwi and hapu, and there would be representatives to that extent. Well, it sounds like a bit of a shambles, but we'll go into that a bit later. Kiri Tamihere Waititi really just isn't in a position to make these claims of oppression when she's better off than most people who aren't even Māori. And it's likely she's had more money, more expensive experiences, more opportunities than any of you watching at home. Any of you. Yet no, she's oppressed. And by the way, unless you're Māori, you're not oppressed. Even if you are living in the gutter, you're homeless, downing a bottle a day, you're still less oppressed than her, because she said so.
And every little incremental benefit we get, we think, getting closer and closer to mana motuhake. We're full of shit. Mana motuhake doesn't lie in that place, and it never ever will. But at what point do we fucking decide that enough is enough? Investing in a system that's feasting off our failure is enough. When do we stop talking about tino rangatiratanga? When do we stop talking about sovereignty? I am the sovereign. When do we start acting in that? When do we start moving from the attitude of I am the sovereign to behaving in the attitude of I am the sovereign?
And see, this is the other important thing. At the end of the day, New Zealand, whether you agree with it or not, whether you like it or not, New Zealand has a sovereign. Right now, it's the monarch, King Charles, right? That's just a fact. That is the fact of this nation. This is a constitutional monarchy. Now, I don't necessarily like King Charles myself. That's okay. I respect the institution. I understand it's there. I can't just say I don't recognize this country as being a constitutional monarchy just because I don't agree with it. No, I'm sure I can advocate for a republic. Sure, if I wanted to, I could, yes. But that doesn't mean I can just come out here and say I am the sovereign. You have rights as an individual. You have many rights as an individual. In fact, you have more power over the direction of this country than the sovereign. That's a fact. But that does not mean that you are the sovereign. That doesn't mean you stand up and say, you are the sovereign. King Charles is not your king. You may not recognize him as having any authority over you, and in practice, he actually doesn't. But this kind of rhetoric is pushing the idea that Māori are superior to others. Māori have a different standing than others. Just the other day, I had someone try and tell me that Māori chiefs were on a par with the monarch. On a par. Of course, that's utter nonsense. But this is the kind of rhetoric that this reinforces.
Continuing to fuck around in this bullshit system is making us beg. We're still begging for Pākehā to recognise us. What the fuck? We're just begging all the time. Pākehā, please. Please see me and my Māoritanga and my tangata whenuatanga. Please give me some money. Please recognise how much you've hurt me. And please recognise how much land you've stolen. And please, can you just give me some money back? When are we going to stop asking for permission? We have to start fucking asserting our sovereignty, acting in our sovereignty. It was never ever taken away from us. But we're behaving like it was. We're continuously behaving like our sovereignty was stripped from us, and it never was.
And this is the key issue with the whole rhetoric, the whole narrative, I should say, about the Te Tiriti o Waitangi not ceding sovereignty to the Crown. I mean, as a fact, it did. And any scholar who thinks they're credible, who claims to the contrary, simply has no regard for the truth, has no ability to look at anything objectively, because if you actually look at what it says, and you do so with just this little tiny amount of credibility, a little tiny amount of humility, a little tiny amount of objectivity, you will establish it was quite clearly ceded. You cannot tell me, you cannot sit there in good faith and tell me that Article 2 trumps all, that Article 2 can contradict Article 1 and Article 3 so easily. Any interpretation of what Te Tiriti o Waitangi says that contradicts itself is not true. Any and all interpretations of such documents should be consistent throughout and not contradict each other in any areas. And so any scholar, any expert, any lawyer who sits there and tells you, yeah, it means this, even though it contradicts this and this, anyone that says that is full of it. I'm not going to have it any other way. But that's the issue, right? It's not a matter of just, Māori didn't cede sovereignty and so we should recognise that. No, she's full on saying that based on this narrative that I invented, that I have other ideologues within the legal system support, we're just going to assert our sovereignty. We should be asserting our sovereignty. We should say, you know what? If you monarchy, we're going to assert our sovereignty. If you government, we're going to assert our sovereignty. This isn't just a simple matter of, I think we should have a discussion about this because we never ceded, even though you did. It's not a matter of, we should just have a simple discussion. It's a matter of, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. We view the world a different way, so we're just going to act how we want. We view ourselves as different, so we're going to act as we want. We don't want you to dictate to us, so we're going to dictate to you. We don't want to participate in the democratic process in this country, so we are going to strip ourselves away from that and do as we want. That is what the Pāti Māori stand for. That's what they're advocating for. A disregard of the democratic process, a disregard of our constitutional arrangements, a disregard of Te Tiriti o Waitangi in its entirety, whilst all the same citing it. The perks of being able to pretend something says what it does not. It enables you to reinforce a nonsensical narrative to push for a political outcome that you want. But no mistake, this has been decades in the making. In fact, you could arguably say this entire thing is predating the land wars.